Doyen, thank you so much for the introduction and for having us here to discuss this very important topic. And I would like to once again thank the organizing committee. And so my answer to your question is not soon, but sooner than you think. Because we have to understand the speed at which things are going. 15 years ago, we didn't even have a smartphone. Today, we have a computer that talks like us, thinks like us, and perhaps has evil intentions like we do. Perhaps we need to do AI arbitration for AI in the future. We don't know. We don't know the ethics and the implications, and God knows we've seen many sci-fi movies like Terminator and how AI can go off the rails. But what I do want to say is this. We're in a position where laws get updated every 3 to 5 years, and AI gets updated every 3 to 5 days. Every 3 to 5 days, there is an update, a major breakthrough in technology, which is only compounding, so that by the end of the 3-year cycle, which regulators undergo, we have a completely different framework. So you would spend 3 years preparing laws and processes to help prepare the world for technology and for AI, but in those 3 years, what you were preparing for is no longer here. And so when we're approaching the future, we need a little bit of creativity. We need to understand what are the implications ad infinitum of this technology, what are the social values we're trying to protect, and where are we in the playing field. And so it serves well to understand what arbitration really is. Because arbitration at the end of the day is a parallel private dispute resolution mechanism. It's the idea that I don't have to go to the courts and be subject to the courts. I can be subject to my own rules. And so you have to understand whether the parties to begin with want an AI arbitration process, whether the parties who are not happy to be subject to the courts are happy to be subject to artificial intelligence. But furthermore, I would definitely say that from a technical perspective, from an implementation perspective, a full AI future for arbitration is definitely possible. But to do that, we need to be daring, and we need to understand and think, how will we reimagine the arbitration process to accommodate for a new way of doing business? The current way of doing business, the current process, is designed to accommodate current technological limitations. When those limitations are removed, we need to embrace the future and prepare something new. And so AI can be used in the process of arbitration on 2 main levels, the micro level and on the macro level. And the difference is this. The micro level is when you have one stakeholder using AI for their own purposes. It's when someone who is preparing an arbitration hearing goes to an AI tool, puts in the prompt, gets the answer back, and they use it to deliver their arbitration hearing. It's when the individual work of a human being is being sped up with artificial intelligence. This is the micro application of artificial intelligence in legal proceedings as a whole, actually, and not just in arbitration. On the macro level, it's when we reimagine the process from A to Z such that perhaps the seat of arbitration is an AI software. You submit the plea with all the case files and all the case notes and all the hearings, and it has access to the database of laws and jurisprudence and customs, etc. And then it makes a decision. It awards. And that could happen because it aligns with the core values of arbitration, which are an autonomous, private, and speedy dispute resolution mechanism. And no offense, but nothing's faster than AI, right? We all know this. We can be the fastest person there is, but the computer is just faster. We can be better, but definitely not faster. And so you have to understand and see, if you have a very major shipping dispute and you need to get an award done in the next half hour. It's impossible with humans, but with a fully autonomous AI arbitration process, it is very possible. It's like customer service when you order online, except it's a multi-billion-dollar dispute. But how will that future look like? Because there's a problem with AI in terms of the way it's structured. And Vincent touched on this. He said, there are many types of AI. There's generative, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's very true. But the core of it is that AI, as we know it today, is a statistical model. And so it will work based on probabilities. Whereas the law is not necessarily a matter of probability. You can try and match it, but there will be the fringe cases where there needs to be some sort of human oversight, where you can appeal to a human authority to overturn an AI ruling. In the same way where we have the courts of first instance in the normal judicial system, and that is, appeal to the appeals courts. So there does need to be some oversight. But another issue is that right now, if all of you open up your phones and your laptops, and I challenge you to do this, and you go into any artificial intelligence software that is not necessarily designed for legal work, any software, ask it to draft an NDA. There are 1,000 people in the room. You will get 1,000 different prompts, or will you get one single prompt? And will you get one single answer? And so the reality is, for most AI tools, if there are 1,000 people in the room asking it the same question, draft me an NDA, you will get the same NDA back. But if I give all of you a pen and paper, 1,000 lawyers in this room, and I ask 1,000 lawyers to draft me an NDA, I will get 1,000 different NDAs. And none of them are wrong. They're all correct. Because at the base of it, this is not building buildings, this is not engineering, this is not math. This is not 1 + 1 = 2. 1 + 1 can be whatever you want it to be. Because this is a social science, and at the end of the day, the decision of where truth lies and where it doesn't, and where justice lies and where it doesn't, lies with the judge and their interpretation of the law. It is all a matter of interpretation. So fundamentally, from a structural perspective, it's not a calculator thing. It's not, because currently it's not, and it will never be. And you can never change something that much because it will break. But having said that, perhaps the future then, and this is our thesis as a company, actually, at HAQQ, our thesis is that AI will neither be agentic, nor will it be extractive, nor will it be generative. It will be first and foremost a human AI. It will be a you AI, in a sense, your digital twin. Because at the end of the day, the matter of law is a matter of interpretation and a matter of preference. And we cannot dilute the value of this institution into something that is, bits, zeros and ones. We need to keep the human element at it. And so we need to imagine a world where humans and technologies, be it artificial intelligence or others, coexist and combine forces to create something better, to create something much, much better. And so this is really, in my opinion, the future, Doyen, of artificial intelligence. It's an artificial intelligence that does have maybe an 80-90% baseline similarity, right? Because that's how you define things. But the other 10% is where all the magic lies, and it's all about being you. It's about you being you faster and better and in different languages. And I think if we can use artificial intelligence, and we're trying to do that, if we can use artificial intelligence to accentuate the different quirks and characteristics of human beings, we can get a much, much brighter future. Especially once we integrate it with different technologies like blockchain, like smart contracts, etc., and integrate them into the full macro process of arbitration. You can really start to imagine, instead of it taking days, it taking minutes or seconds. And at the end of the day, it's not justice if it's delayed. It has to be today, right here, right now. And I think tech can definitely empower that.
Thank you, Antoine, for this technical side, interesting side.